The Mirthmobile. I think we'll go with a little
Mixtape Monday.
Next to each other. Party on, dudes!
next party on.
Party on, Wayne!
Party on, Clark.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mixtape Mondays. And we've got a solid panel lined up for this evening. And I'm really excited about today's topic. Joined, as always, of... Nope, that way. Roman of the Empire, as well as Stephen Ransom. And then joining us this week, Jacob Ironside and Blair. Thank you guys for joining. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to this one. And before we kind of jump in, I just want to very quickly, we've got Matt in the chat, who apparently saying there's no power on heaven or earth that could hold on to his potatoes. So that's good to know. Anyways, we'll just kind of quickly go around.
I don't think I can do that line without being accused of some kind of racism or cultural appropriation, the way Short Round did. I don't know. I don't even know where to go with this now.
I usually more prefer the line from Jurassic Park, "Hold on to your butts," but hey, you know, to each their own.
Because if I just say the line, it's not very funny at all. But if Short Round says the line, maybe I can have the puppets say it. Well, the more I
you
drink,
said the puppets are on the other side of the room. You're not ready, so you're not ready.
I'm not. I can move. I have the ability to walk across the room. I haven't lost that.
In the middle of a stream? My God, man.
I'm going to hold you to that, Roman.
All right. Which part? The funny part? The moving part? I don't know. There's so many parts already.
The moving part. The idea that you're actually mobile.
I am very mobile. I'm like a garage ninja out here in the Empire Studios.
Okay. Which explains your computer issues.
What is that? Oh no! It doesn't. There's just a noise outside the door of the Empire, and I don't know what it is. It's
I noticed
slow dragging sound, like someone's pulling a corpse across something. Maybe they are.
So,
Tis the season.
So I noticed.
Was it a raven? Gently rapping.
tapping at my garage door.
So I always forget. I don't really know what it looks like for the guests. If you can see, like when we're not in the stream, if you can see all the thumbnails at the bottom. But during the intro that was just playing, I saw Roman. There's a lot of hand gestures and a lot of. You looked very panicked there for a moment. What was going on?
I always look slightly panicked. That's part of, what it means to be Roman of the Empire. Also, I would prefer to be called Dr. Roman Doll for the purposes of the stream.
Yes, but you're not in costume.
I'm not. I might be later, though. It depends on how much more I had to drink.
I don't see a white jacket. I don't see a white jacket there.
I actually don't own the white jacket.
You have to wear the white jacket to call the
well,
doctor.
and I was thinking this could go a couple different ways, because I know he typically likes to dress up like Doctor Who for Halloween. He's got his Indiana Jones hat there. So, like, which Doctor? What are we going with here? We could
go anyway. This Halloween, I'm not going to be Ryan Reynolds. But I am going to be Green Lantern. Actually, Jake of the Empire, my son, was Dr. Jones a couple of years back. Yes, there is that picture. Jacob Ironside, who now haunts my sleep. Thank you, sir. It's always...
You're welcome. Anytime.
I know.
And actually, before we really get rolling and kind of, go around and check in on how everyone's. I mean, I would say how everyone's week is going so far, but it's just Monday. But we do have a meme to start things off with. Again, thank you, courtesy of Jacob Ironside.
I just got to brace myself for these.
The Unavengers.
That's pretty good. That's actually not bad. That actually fits in with like some of our opening topics. That's perfect. Wow.
Your head is so tiny, Roman.
My head is so small.
The funny thing is, I feel like Roman could put all of those things on right now, just the stuff he has in his garage.
I actually, oddly enough, I don't have Hulk stuff because I actually have a prejudice against Hulk now because of She-Hulk. But I do have I have Mjolnir. I have the Iron Man faceplate up here. I don't know if I can angle this and not.
But do you have?
Did you notice what the Iron Man? Did you notice the Iron Man? What box he used?
Yes. Oh wait, no, I didn't see the box. What was it? Put that back up. Put it back up.
Oh wait,
I was.
Hold on. There we go.
Yeah, it's a Captain Morgan's, isn't it?
Captain Morgan box.
Oh, very nice.
And his arc reactor
Excellent.
is a Jack Daniels bottle.
Jack Daniels.
Nice.
Well played. All right. So, how's everybody?
It's the best news. Okay, is that better? Am I back to my normal angle of? I guess so. Who knows? No one knows. No one.
Hold
knows.
on. Yeah, that looks better.
Everything all right?
Oh, not that. Never that.
Now you're big.
No, nobody needs to see my face. Yeah, so how's everybody doing on this fine Monday afternoon, evening, whatever time zone you might be in?
Did good.
Doing well.
I got a short week this week. I'm going on vacation, so.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, very nice.
nice.
Where are you going?
Door County, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay, so it's still sort of local, but not terribly far. Or
Yeah, a few hours north.
I've actually never been to that region of the country. I've been to many places around the globe, all of them terrible, by the way. But within the country itself, New England, Florida, and pretty much here, and like Oklahoma. But that's just it's about it. Just not very much. Like those middle north states always terrify me a little bit because it always looks like you're just that far from being in another ice age.
Yeah, sometimes. But I gotta get the fall colors in before they all disappear and everything turns to crap. So
Yep. I've only been on
You
the
can just
east
go-
and west coast,
Yeah,
which is
in
pretty
Texas.
funny.
In Texas, it goes from green to nothing. There's no in the middle.
Pretty good. That's yeah.
Oh,
We're
wow.
waiting for actually we're fire season has started here in California. Other states have other seasons where leaves change. We have them where they burn. That's what happens in Southern California. It's a fine time.
haven't you been in burn season all year though?
No,
Or is this like the official.
you'd be
burn?
surprised.
It's official fire
actually,
season
like
now. Yes.
it's
Right.
it's pretty warm throughout a majority of the year, but it's not until this time of year, usually October, where it's like once it's been hot for a while, things get like really dried out. So
Right.
thankfully, it's not a year-round thing, but it is kind of an unfortunate thing that right around October every year we
Like on your calendar,
high
Blair,
risk.
where you've got like maple leaves that are orange. We have fire on our calendar, so it's the same idea.
yeah,
essentially.
it's bad. It's not a good time.
It's primarily because the winds start changing. We start getting more winds from the ocean, and because of that, any fires that do get started turn into a bit of a blaze. So it is
blowing.
definitely seasonal.
And we also don't do proper deforestation. That's also nice.
Right. I remember back in one of the bigger wildfires we had in 2006, I was working for a very large acoustic guitar manufacturer at the time. So you can imagine a big giant wood shop. And it was like Monday morning, we came in, started our thing. Within the first 30 minutes of the day, every supervisor of every department went around and they're like, go home. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, fire season, wood shop, go home. We'll call you when it's safe to come back.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't work for like 3 or 4 days. It was pretty wild. But that was one of the really, really bad ones. That's not normal to be that bad. But yeah, so anyways, Roman, I believe you have some Marvel stuff you want to rant about
So,
briefly
it's
before we get
exciting.
into our fun topic.
So the She-Hulk
Yeah, right.
creators came out today and said, "Hey, big joke on you. We were just trolling you, internet people."
Yeah.
putting
I
out
don't
a
think
show
that's
with
quite the win
intentional
they
bad
would
writing. I don't know
think it
why you
is.
would do that intentionally. So you can have a 35% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. That's fine. That's jokes on me. Ooh, you got me. Also,
Take that, bigot.
Yeah, exactly. In unrelated Marvel news, most of their films coming out in 2023 and beyond have shifted. Some by some months. Blade, for instance, is 10 months, so almost a year. But then we jump down to 2026, where it's supposed to be Avengers Secret Wars, meaning it's so secret no one's going to go to the movie, but it's been moved 6 months. So they're already moving things that are 4 years off 6 months later down the road, which tells you the kind of the shape Marvel Studios is in because of Phase 4. They've done this to themselves. They didn't have a plan after Endgame, and it very much shows. So now you get people rewriting scripts. Having Blade looks like they're having to do a complete rewrite of Blade.
Yeah, they lost their director too.
Yeah, they lost their director,
that
and the
got
script
shelved.
was only 90 pages and had 2 action sequences. Blade. Vampire,
whatever.
Come on.
Yeah, there's
So-
just going to be a lot of standing around talking.
Yeah, that's because that's what you want to see in a vampire
In
film.
a vampire movie.
So, how'd your staking go today? It was lovely. How did your staking go? Mine was also lovely. Did you get the soup? No, I didn't get the soup.
Yeah.
Marvel.
They should just retitle it Glade instead of Blade.
So Matt's pointing out, he's like, they had a plan at this point. Pretty much everything after Endgame, and even some could argue they were dipping their toe in it earlier with like Thor Ragnarok and other stuff. But their plan was to just go full woke and expect people to continue to consume because of the Marvel name. But after a while, if you're not producing quality, it doesn't matter what name it is, it's still garbage.
Yeah,
it is. And shame on She-Hulk. You guys.
Well, here they said, "Oh, we trolled you, we won, whatever." This is all I can think of when I hear that they trolled us.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
That's so.
That's good.
You could have had a show that you would have had fans excited for instead of cringe watching like most of us did. If you watched it all, and if you did, shame on you. I told you not to do that.
I just watched your reviews.
And that's all you need to do. That's why I'm here. I am here for you people.
You're
So,
doing
TV
God's
shows-
work over there, Roman.
TV shows have not helped them. I mean, those things
No.
are supposed to be like
Oh.
little carryovers to the next movie.
connecting
You'd
the
have a movie,
MCU.
Then you'd have a little TV show, which would have been fine for that. But
Yeah,
when they
it's not
tried to
been good.
carry it all, no. Moon Knight. No, who's going to watch a Moon Knight movie now?
Oh, also
No.
in
Or Miss
related
Marvel.
news, Fantastic Four lost the Spider-Man director, the gentleman who directed the last 3 successful Spider-Man movies. They lost him. So now it's going to be the guy who directed WandaVision.
Oh,
Wow.
goodness.
Whatever.
Expectations dropping.
As soon as I saw that they had made the Man Without Fear yellow, I was like, you guys got to be kidding me. I mean, seriously?
It is a comic book, and this you're going to hate me for this.
No,
It is comic
I know
book
it's accurate.
But no, visually it's horrible, and that's why they stopped doing it. Someone like, dude, why are you making Daredevil look like that? I don't know. I thought the colors were nice. They're not. Fix it. All right, I'll make him red, and then boom, it's fixed. You know?
Yep. The irony of Daredevil being yellow, as in spineless. Meanwhile, he's the Man Without Fear. It's like, I'm
They
sorry.
did it
it's
on
like,
purpose.
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they did. The only people they trolled was themselves, because they finally proved to us that an AI is writing it, that the writing crew is following a robot, and that even the actors have issues with the storylines.
That was literally so very, very early on. I don't know if any of you guys follow or watch Anna, that Star Wars girl, at all, but she said exactly that. She said from the very first episode, the dialogue between characters felt like when an AI writes how it thinks human beings like talk and interact.
This is how people.
That was just like the
communicate.
final joke at the end, where it's like, okay, Kevin Feige's a robot, perfect. Like it.
Well, Man, also unforgivable is what they did to Scar. If you're
does
not
not compute.
familiar with the the Planet Hulk saga and the things that followed, Hulk does have a son named Scar. He doesn't look like that fella though.
No.
Scar is he's a slightly smaller, scary version of Hulk.
What? I didn't see
He doesn't
that
look
one.
like that. He doesn't have the funny. Oh, you did. Oh, you had to stick around for that. Oh,
Yeah.
Post credits.
Yeah. No, that wasn't the post-credit scene. That was during the barbecue, the family barbecue at the end.
Yep.
And then your post-credit scene was the Wong showed up, did the thing, and
that's right,
God.
Blonsky went to Kamatage and asked about Wi-Fi. That was their big comedic ending. Say, do you have Wi-Fi? Yes, we have Wi-Fi.
Remember,
That's
they
how the show ended,
trolled
just like that,
us. They
literally
won.
like So
Yeah.
they won. I lost. I'm a lesser man for it now.
Good grief. Yeah, so we got Skoy
Good grief.
instead of Scar.
Boy. Skoy boy.
Unbelievable. I mean, he even looks like he's all insecure. He's not. Dude, you're a freaking Hulk, man.
Is he gonna be like the awkward like emo teenager that's like, gosh, leave me
of course
alone,
he
Dad?
is.
Like,
Yeah.
Grief. We're in so much trouble.
Like they turned Groot into.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
and as much as
And
people
Groot.
love Groot, like they love Groot as the character in the first movie.
Hey.
People loved Baby Groot, but even stuff I've been reading, like leading up to this third movie, people are like, okay, like we're kind of tired of like Baby Groot.
was
Can we
the
get like
best.
normal Groot again?
And, yeah,
It was the
teenage Groot was a
best
bit much.
acting Vin Diesel has ever done.
Yeah. But actually, funny fact
range.
about him is that he
Range.
when they release those movies in other countries and they usually like dub the voices over and have they actually had Vin Diesel record all of his lines and all the different inflections in all the different languages they're going to release them in, so his voice is the only one that is consistent throughout all the worldwide releases, which I thought was like, wow, how exhausting did that have to be to just sit in a studio
That's
and
what I'm
say,
thinking.
I am Groot in different inflections in different languages?
Yeah.
He just kept thinking, here's my next audio gig. Okay, there's my pool. There's my next audio gig. Oh, there's my limousine for the rest of the year.
And then he signed on for Fast and Furious 20 or however many they're up to on those now. I don't even
Fast
know.
and Furious Scissors. That's what it is.
I
And
think
after
I
he
sat
came out of the
through.
booth, after
I
he
think
came
I
out of
sat
the-
through.
After he came out of the sound booth, I am Groot was all he could say for a week.
I think I actually sat through one of the Fast and Furious movies because then I also, horrifically enough, was seeing
Congratulations.
the Hulk movie that came, not the Ed Norton one, but the really bad one
The
at
other
the drive-in.
the Eric Bana
So
version.
it was like Too Fast, Too Furious, and the Incredible Hulk with Eric Bana, and it was a
Oh,
bad
buddy.
night. All
Oh, that's
it was,
that's a bad
that was a
night.
bad night all around.
Eesh. Sorry.
So, anyways, now to get on to something fun, our topic at hand tonight:
Yes.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Doom. Temple of Doom.
And we're striked.
So,
Temple of Doom.
I thought this would be kind of a fun one to do because I mean, I love the franchise. I always say there are three main movie franchises I grew up on when I was just a wee little tyke, just a wee little lad. And my parents would put me in front of the TV and say, here, watch this movie that we recorded off of the television with VHS where you have to fast forward through the commercials. And it was the original Star Wars trilogy, Back to the Future, and Indiana Jones. Those are the three big main ones that I really grew up on. But this one, obviously, the Temple of Doom always gets kind of a bad rap. And even myself, like, it's maybe not my favorite, but I feel like this one has a lot of really interesting behind the scenes trivia, a lot of kind of interesting stuff to it. Obviously, Raiders
It's still
is iconic.
better than Crystal Skull.
I don't know
Oh,
what
God,
movie you're
yes.
talking
Oh,
about. There's only
yes.
3 Indiana Jones movies.
That's right.
There's
I know.
only 3 movies.
That's right.
Don't
Anything
make
dealing
Indiana
with
Jones
aliens
with
is.
But here's the deal:
No,
if it wasn't,
no,
if it were
no.
not for Crystal Skull, I would not acknowledge this movie because I don't like this movie. I don't. There's
I
there's
don't like
nothing
it
about
either.
this film that I like. There are things that are interesting to talk
It's a
about.
prequel.
You know,
Yep.
but
Yes.
I don't.
I
I
didn't know
don't
that.
like. Yeah, this is 1935.
Yeah, I found out
Um,
now later, but At the time, I thought it was in between.
Like an actual now, yeah. And of course, it wasn't. And the problem is George Lucas definitely has his fingerprints all over this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, he was the executive. He was a producer on the previous film, but this one he really
he was
mucked it up with his.
Lucas was a writer
Lucas
on this one as well. He helped write the story as well.
And it shows.
Well, and even like reading, kind of getting ready for the stream and reading a lot of different stuff, both Spielberg and Lucas said that part of the reason for a lot of the darker tones in this movie is they were both going through, I don't know if it was necessarily divorces or just breakups or whatever, but they basically said, well, we both were like not in a good mood, and that's why the movie had darker tones. That was number one.
I don't even mind the darker tones. I'm a man who likes darker tones.
Mm-hmm.
My problem was with the humor.
You don't like
humor
Short Round?
Being, I don't like Short Round. I don't prefer children in general in films.
Why do you hate children?
I don't hate all the children. I hate the children in films. Like the entire cast of Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome. I hate all the children. In this one, I just hated Short Round because he was the only child of it. The other children who were the slave labor, I didn't care about them that much because we didn't have that much interaction with them. But I also hated Willie.
If I were ironically enough married Steven Spielberg.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So
I wonder why she was in the movie.
Spoiler going into this. If I were Indy, I would have just accepted the poison at the beginning of the movie and died rather than spend another minute with Willie.
That's why you're not Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford is.
That's right. Because he's tough.
Yep.
He can handle
Man.
That's right.
He threatened to kill her with a big fork at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, you know, sometimes you just gotta.
And you know what? Yeah. He was right to do so.
How many of us had his hat when we were young?
You mean had his hat?
There you go. So one of the funnier things I thought was interesting about this movie, when you're looking up trivia facts about both Temple of Doom, and then you look into The Last Crusade a little bit, there's Steven Spielberg is on record as saying that The Last Crusade, which is obviously the best one out of the trilogy because there are no more than three, The Last Crusade was made for two reasons. Largely, obviously, I think they had a contract to do 3 movies, but Steven Spielberg says, and I quote, to atone for the criticism that he received for the previous installment, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So I think they even kind of put it out and realized, like, maybe this wasn't our best work. It's where we were at the time. So let's make The Last Crusade really awesome. Let's bring in Sean Connery. But yeah, I still think there's kind of some interesting trivia behind this movie because it is the least popular of the trilogy. But
Last Crusade was my least favorite.
Really?
I like the first two.
I like Raiders. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought The Last Crusade had a lot of fan service in that it was kind of that thing of like, okay, we know Temple of Doom wasn't great. We're going to give them a really great movie. There was, I guess, some sort of an inside joke on the set of how Indiana Jones could have like been the son of James Bond. So like bringing in Sean Connery was like a little bit of an inside joke with that. And I guess he originally didn't want to do it, but then they convinced Sean Connery to do it. He didn't like what they were doing with the character, so he actually like pressured them to change some things in the script and the things about the character. So a lot of what you see of Dr. Jones is kind of Sean Connery injecting himself and being like, no, I don't like that. Change that.
Good for him. It
worked. He was not that much older than Harrison Ford.
That was the other thing, is they said he was only 12 years older than Harrison Ford, but because he was like, already all gray. Yeah.
Yeah. Harrison was like, well,
hey, wait a minute.
Could have done it, but you know,
yeah,
really, they were not.
Right. And that's kind of like we've talked about recently, the newest Batman movie with Robert Pattinson and Andy Serkis. Thank you. Streamer brain is a thing. They're another one where like their age gap is actually not that different, but the problem with Andy Serkis and Robert Pattinson is that Andy Serkis didn't even look that much older than Robert Pattinson, at least with Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. Like maybe they were only 12 years in difference, but Sean Connery at least like he looked older, at least like they pulled it off. But one of the other interesting things, before I just really let everybody go nuts and we'll just run with it, is that this movie, along with Gremlins, is largely to blame for the birth of the PG-13 rating.
Yep.
But oddly enough, though, this one actually did not receive a PG-13 rating, but it was sort of the push to do that because they thought, well, it's not quite family friendly enough to be PG, but we don't really want to give it an R rating, which honestly, I mean, looking back at it now, like they're eating monkey brains, the guy's like ripping people's hearts out, and I was like, I could kind of see an R rating there, but they didn't want to do it. They edited some stuff out so it would be more mild. But actually, the first movie to really get a theatrical release with the brand new PG-13 rating was Red Dawn.
Which was way better than either Gremlins or this film.
Oh, you don't like Gremlins?
Roman likes very little, by the way.
I don't like Gremlins.
Don't get Roman wet.
Or feed him after midnight.
Yeah.
Neither of these things actually ever go well, to be fair. I don't like being wet, and if you feed me after midnight, something bad's going to happen. I'm going to have to get up. So, no, actually, I don't want to go into why I don't like Gremlins right now, because I could go on for a minute about that.
So next week, we're going to be talking about the movie Gremlins.
Yeah, there you go.
And its sequel, Gremlins 2, Gremlins-er.
Gremlins of the Empire.
Well, the dinner scene and Temple of Doom really pushed it. I loved it as a kid, though. It was gross out. I thought it was all way.
That's actually, Blair, there are two scenes I like in this movie. Well, I like the dinner scene because it's disgusting and I find it fascinating, although it is culturally insensitive. The scene I also enjoyed with quotes around
They're vegetarians there.
That's me being funny in my own sad way. Was the scene where they're about to get crushed and Willie has to put her hand in the bug-infested hole.
Oh, yeah, that
was just so creepy crawly. I loved that to death. Although the scene itself, the setup and why it happened are both utterly ridiculous as plot points. It's absurd.
That's no cookie.
No, well, the absurdity of him stepping on the thing and then leaning against the other thing.
Yeah, why do they need
to make these things happen? Just made my head
different triggers.
Yeah.
Like I said, I enjoyed.
These films are silly in general.
This one was, I would say, a bit more silly. Like the traps in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Those were kind of legit traps. You didn't see those. They were in places where you would expect there to be, well, not necessarily expect, but they made sense to be there. These were just kind of like there. And some small Asian kid had to lean against a wall to get the thing to press in, and he doesn't feel sliding back, and now you're getting crushed. And why are all those bugs actually there? Was there some kind of strange, was this where they used to dump their garbage? What was happening there that variety of insects are?
Why weren't the bugs in the palace? Those bugs would have been all over the place.
I have ants in my kitchen. I can't get rid of those guys. It's fine.
Nice.
Wow. Roman's hulking out over here again.
This movie got banned in India.
It did.
I'm not surprised.
I still think it's banned. They wanted to film there.
They did not allow them to film there. And then, they said it's banned from ever being showed on TV, or it's completely banned in the entire country because they said the script was racist.
Yep. They went to Sri Lanka.
Really? Say again.
YouTube doesn't like that word. We've just been banned.
This is your show, man.
I'm surprised. I didn't realize that was a thing. I'd be curious to hear specifics, actually.
Yeah,
why that was.
They ended up having to film a lot of the scenes in Sri Lanka because India was like, nope, you're not filming here.
I think literally the entire scene in India. When they get there, when they come to the village, and then when they go to Pankot Palace, pretty much from that point to the other point, which is most of the film. I do wish they'd been killed when they had to jump out of the plane. And I also wish Willie had been incinerated when they put her in the cage and were dropping her towards the lava. Those are plot points I would change if I were making the movie.
Man, you're so angry.
And, just to comment on Jacob's,
shaking his head.
Jacob's tweet, throw her into the fire. The proper quote, I think, would work better. Throw it into the fire.
Oh, all right. I'll leave it alone. Talk about yourself.
No. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm pulling up the memes now.
I know India wanted the script, and they got the script. They're like, "Oh no, this is all racist. You can't be no."
No, but you can. I mean, even then, you can see them being like, "Nah."
Cast her
into the fire. And Indy just turns around. No.
So he just winks at the camera.
Actually, I think it was probably Spielberg winking at the camera.
Oh, goodness.
Kalima.
I was rooting for that guy so much.
I love that.
You know
what? Indiana Jones gets burned out of his. What do you guys like about knocked him out of his trance, and he still pretends and lets her go to the fire.
I know. Oh, gosh. So, Blair, what do you like about the movie? Because you actually like this movie better than Last Crusade, which is also my personal favorite. So, what do you like? What is it about this one that worked for you? Why is this one cool?
It had a different mythology. It wasn't biblical reference. It wasn't the Holy Grail or the Lost Ark, which I thought was cool and interesting.
Yeah, me too.
The setting, it was very jungle, very not, desert,
Right.
And
yeah, we weren't on Tatooine again.
Yeah, again, exactly. And I really liked that the Hindu or Indian mythology they went into, and some of that, because they had the stones that had diamonds in them,
Right.
I kind of like that kind of magic part of it, or the supernatural part of it. And I just really liked the action. It was a little silly, short round. Of course, if you got a kid in the movie, it's going to be what they call it, the Kenny, from the Godzilla movie. That annoying little kid that you wanted Godzilla to kill throughout the whole movie. You got one of those types.
Well, apparently Roman always wants the kids to die in the movies.
That's not a fair statement. It's untrue.
That's actually my favorite part about this movie is Short Round. I think he's fantastic for what he had to execute and what he had to achieve as an actor.
I did like
him.
He
pulls it off in startling. He does a really good job for what he was granted.
Well, and he apparently, his brother came in to audition for the part, but I guess he was like telling his brother what to do, what not to do, and so they liked him better than his brother, and he got the part. I'm like, oh, well, sorry for his brother.
Yeah,
and then wasn't he in Goonies too? He's the kid in Goonies, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's another Spielberg property. So I don't know what else he did after Goonies, but
Well, from what I understand, after that he became a top flight stunt coordinator.
Yep.
After that.
Okay. Nice.
And that's where he's been all of these years.
Good
and
for
then
him.
he puts all of his skills on full display in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes, I was gonna say that he came back. Movie. That's a great one.
He's in that.
He's the husband.
Movie. Don't hate me for that.
Highly recommended, Roman. I've recommended it a few times on this channel. Highly recommended.
Gonna do a
best multiverse movie ever.
Yes. Great movie.
All right. I shall accept these terms. If I watch this movie, I'm going to give it an honest review. You know that. I don't hold back. And I don't watch things I don't usually go into things. She-Hulk, I went into hate watch. I knew I was going to watch that. But like other things, I don't go into them to not like them. There have been many properties like Moon Knight, for instance, where I love Moon Knight. And then I had to watch Disney Plus Moon Knight, and I felt like someone's carving out my guts. So I don't go into things to not like them. I genuinely want to like a thing. And I'm just usually very surprised when I do these days.
And I will say that the film was very well reviewed by a lot of female members of the reaction crews on YouTube. All the women that I watched that movie thoroughly enjoyed it. It is wholeheartedly a family film about a family trying to get itself back together again. So it's highly recommended on that level as well.
Okay, so Roman, just to be clear, they recommend this and you say you'll watch it, but I've been harping on you to watch The Prestige and you won't watch that. Even though Christopher Nolan is an incredibly talented director.
The problem is I literally forget about it as soon as we stop talking about it, much the way you forget about Road Warrior, son.
Well, Christopher Nolan is a better director, so there.
Whoa! Whoa! Next time you're over here, Matt the drummer is going to fight you.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, now I know what the flag of Roman of the Empire should be. It's the "Don't tread on me" flag.
I don't know where we were. We got way off track there.
Well, so
I blame Blair to Blair for that.
One of the things we already mentioned too is how this one is technically, if someone is savvy enough paying attention in the wee early moments of the movie, this is actually a prequel.
I missed that.
Place a year before the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Lucas set the film 1 year earlier because he said he just didn't want the Nazis to be the bad guys 2 movies in a row, which they brought him back again in The Last Crusade. We said he kind of went backwards. Like, well, we want to do something different. But in
there was also
the
excuse of he couldn't be with Karen Allen again. Marion was not to be included in this film, so they had to go back in time. Otherwise, it would have made him unsympathetic as a hero.
Right.
Like, why are you cheating on Marilyn?
They said they kind of wanted him to have like a different lady in each movie. Again, kind of going with kind of the James Bond vibe. But they said early on in developing the story, Lucas conceived an opening chase scene with Indiana Jones on a motorcycle in the Great Wall of China. China said no. Followed by the discovery of a lost world with a hidden valley inhabited by dinosaurs. So we almost had Indiana. We almost had Indiana Jones with dinosaurs.
Journey to the Center of Doom, I guess it would have been.
Oh my gosh, that. Mm-hmm. Jacob Ironside, what you've been notoriously silent over there. What is it? What about? Is there something you particularly love or don't love about this movie?
Willie. They could have They could have completely had her out of the movie. She ruined the movie.
He's my new best friend. She did. She kills the movie for me. And actually, Mrs. of the Empire. When I said we were reviewing this tonight, the first thing she did was Indy. I was like, no.
And your ears start bleeding.
I can see people in the theater when it first starts, and you get that big music monologue thing, thinking they've turned Indiana Jones into a musical.
Yeah, that was not repeated again, wasn't it?
It's a good action sequence, though. I'll say that. I'll give that to him. I mean,
it's only 2 minutes.
Sequence is pretty good.
2 minutes that feels like 27 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing. Why does Indiana Jones drink the drink after these guys have threatened him with a gun, and he takes a drink from them?
Because plot line, I guess.
Nervous drinking.
This is the Lucas writing, though. This is the problem with Lucas. He needs people to tell him no, and they should have just said, no, George, no. That jungle scene is also one of my if we talk least personal favorite scenes, when they're sitting there and they're trying to dry off the clothes, and then Willie is getting exposed to every animal in the jungle.
Yeah.
While Indy and Short Round are sitting there, I think they're playing cards.
Yeah, they're cheating at cards against
both
each
of
other.
Them are cheating.
Yeah, both of them are cheating. Yeah, hysterical.
And she's got a boa wrapped around her, and the elephant's bugging her, and it's just like,
Yep, and then she does.
I was hoping something would eat her, and it never did.
Then they do the bit where she ignores that it's a snake and just throws it off of her, and Indy flinches. Yeah.
Why did it have to be snakes?
Good grief.
At least they didn't make her better at everything than him.
No, they made her worse than everything.
That's true.
Just wait for Indy 5.
Oh God,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
There's like a collective groan.
They're going to do another bridge sequence with Indiana Jones, but Ben Kenobi is going to come. Ben Skywalker is going to come and stab him on the same bridge.
Oh,
and then the bridge is going to split in half, and they're both going to die. So, spoiler alert.
We're going for a ride,
hold down for the Indian alligators.
Yeah.
Oh, except they're supposed to be crocodiles, but they're alligators.
So I thought another fun fact that I pulled up on this, talking about the bridge scene. They actually built that suspension bridge,
that rope bridge,
on site for the movie. The rope bridge used during the final fight scene was actually suspended a couple of 100 feet across a gorge on location in Sri Lanka. Steven Spielberg, being notoriously afraid of heights, would never walk over it. So he would drive 1.5 miles from one side to the other when filming and directing, whereas Harrison Ford, on the other hand, had no fear and would just like run across it at full speed.
Nice.
That is interesting.
Slightly unrelated, still related, but pretty hilarious. If any of you have ever been to Universal Studios Hollywood, where they have the Jurassic Park, now rethemed as the Jurassic World ride, it has a really, really big drop at the end of the ride. And another one, Steven Spielberg is famous for riding the ride whenever they do special events, rethemings, grand reopenings.
Really?
And he requests that they stop the ride and let him off before the final big drop.
You're kidding me.
Steven Spielberg is a big sissy.
Wow. You know what? Not unrelated, but still an interesting kind of inside thing. Sean Bean, when they were filming the scenes in Lord of the Ring that were on the mountain, he wouldn't ride the helicopter up to the spot to film. He would climb the mountain every day to get to the spot because he didn't want to ride the helicopter. He was terrified.
He wanted to show them what a real man
and
looked
so
like.
they would see him coming up the mountain as they're flying up there. They'd see the little form going up. It's just like, I mean,
fantastic.
All right, you're very tough. You're very strong.
No wonder he looked haggard every single shot sequence.
No so makeup
tired.
Here.
I'm so tired, Eric. Going. I'm just exhausted. It's not even Mordor that's making me tired. It's that mountain. The mountain every day. I pack a snack. I'm still just worn out.
They helicopter and they have to pretend like they've this big long slug, and here he is like totally method acting the whole fucking thing, just like
get the camera rolling, get it rolling.
Fantastic.
Oh man,
I think my favorite background trivia on this is the idea that she eventually married Spielberg, Kate Capshaw.
Yes. Yep.
That they met on this film. And she married him, and they're still married. So, God bless the two of them.
Really?
Good
they're
for them. That's
married.
really rare in Hollywood.
Tolerate that voice after all these years.
Well, one assumes that she was acting.
In Hollywood, like that's unheard of. So good for them. That's great.
Yeah. Supposedly, her only rule when he said he wanted to marry her, she said, as long as you're home for dinner every night, we can make this work. And he was home every day for dinner every night.
Wow.
So she set down some ground rules, and like a good Jewish husband, boom, got it done.
Because he's used to growing up with that Jewish mother guilt.
Yep. I know how he feels being a Catholic man. Run by the same regulations.
So then, since you already kind of ran with something there, Stephen, what are some of your thoughts on this one? You love it? Do you hate it? What do you like or dislike about this one?
It's really hard to say. I recently, and I mean recently, in the last 5 years, rewatched all three of them, and this one doesn't stick out so bad because I do really like Short Round and Indy together. I love that they fight together. I love that they help solve each other's problems. That they're a dynamic duo. He's Batman and he's Robin, and they play that all the way through, and it's solid. So I can forgive her performance a bit. It's annoying. Don't get me wrong. It's really annoying that she continuously screams the whole time. But the idea that anybody would openly dislike this film just because of that, in comparison to The Last Crusade, where these guys aren't archaeologists. I mean, they just let an entire tomb burn to smithereens. He smashes an antique floor. How many friggin' areas do they destroy in the process of going through all this stuff? It's like, no, how dare you? This is not archaeology, you dumb. What the heck?
I found literally all of that less offensive than Willie's shrieking.
Yeah.
I would have had them.
And I
burn all
agree
of
with
Venice
Blair to
shut
Blair.
her up.
The alternate mythology, the
Mhm.
idea that we're exploring a brand new world of magic and sorcery,
Mhm.
and the reminiscence of and the tribute that they pay to stories like Our Man Gunga Din and other adventure stories that take place in the Middle East. I find it all really fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I forgive this a lot more, but in general, these are not if you're an archaeologist, if you want to be an archaeologist, if your child is into archaeology, don't show them these films.
No.
These are bad examples of archaeology. I'm sorry.
I mean, and
It's
again,
a Tomb
like, talking
Raider.
about
Yeah, it's a Tomb
Yeah,
Raider.
and talking about how like some of this stuff is sort of goofy, sort of silly. I mean, I look at these as very much like a precursor that eventually gave birth to like say like the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Obviously, those movies they came from the idea of the ride from Disneyland, but just the kind of silliness of the
Right. Yeah,
movies
well,
Pirates
we've
of the
got
Caribbean.
right after this,
it's
we got The
sorta-
Mummy and we got National Treasure, which are basically grandchildren of this property.
And I feel like they're all sort of on that same level of like there's some adventure, but there's some like goofy, silly, and maybe not everyone's going to be on board with all the campiness and stuff. But like I thought Pirates of the Caribbean is like a good example of very much the same vein of it's adventure, it's fun, it's interesting, but there's some goofy moments. And Roman, you had a question.
No, I just like the first one. It really only required one film.
Pirates. Oh, I like all of them.
I kind of agree.
Yeah, like I said, they're not.
The last one was terrible.
It's nothing that's gonna go and like win awards or anything, but I was entertained. I thought they were fun.
I don't know. I with Jacob on this because these definitely degraded with time. Much like the longer you leave the avocado on the counter, it's not going to get better.
I mean, I can watch the first one over and over again.
Yes,
the other ones aren't as
great.
rewatchable.
Yeah, they break down their own myth when they do all kinds of stuff off camera. I'm sorry, it's like we're in the middle of this. It's like don't do stuff off camera. Come on, guys.
I will say though, and without getting too much into how much I despise Disney now, as a Southern California resident growing up going to Disneyland and stuff, I was a big time fan of Disneyland. I do have mixed feelings about the fact that they interjected characters from the movie into the ride. It's like
I agree.
The movie was based on the ride, but then all of a sudden there's Johnny Depp, there's Jack Sparrow inside the ride, there's Captain Barbossa, and it's like it's kind of cool, but at the same time it's kind of like
why didn't they make another ride?
You've kind of like
just make it the
it's
ride.
weird. It very much changes.
They could have made another ride.
Well, does anybody remember Eddie Murphy's Haunted House?
Oh, yeah.
Haunted Mansion.
I mention it because it was based on the ride, the Haunted House.
The Haunted Mansion.
Yep.
It's,
so
you know what?
They don't mention that
admit,
one though. Eddie Murphy didn't get a statue at the.
I will admit,
that's because Disney is
guilty pleasure. That is not a great movie by any means, but come Halloween season, I will watch it because again, it's campy and it's goofy and it's it's entertaining. It's funny.
Your previous weird nonsensical statement that you just made.
It's not a great movie, but I'll give it a watch every Halloween season.
Yet you have never watched The Road Warrior ever in your life.
And at this point, just because you keep pushing it, I might hold out of spite.
You know what? One day you're going to be over here and you're going to be drinking. I'm going to break out that theater thing I have outside and you're going to be trapped out there. I'm going to have them lock you out from the inside and you're going to be trapped on that porch with me with nothing but alcohol and The Road Warrior.
Well, see, here's the fun thing about when I watch movies is that I typically fall asleep when I'm watching movies, so I'll probably just sleep through it.
That's your next
I'll make sure
meme,
Jacob of the Empire is out there.
Is John with his eyes wired open and Roman in the background putting drops in his eyes with Road Warrior on the screen.
There you go. Yeah. Consider it done.
Man.
My man.
But, again, kind of on the topic of Disneyland and rides and movies and whatever, I did find one other interesting piece of information that a lot of the sound effects from the mine car chase in Temple of Doom were recorded from roller coasters at Disneyland with all of the sound effects and music turned off.
Also,
That's not surprising.
The airplane the same noise the Millennium Falcon makes, and it's
yes, that was another one. Yeah,
I never noticed
when the engine was failing. It's the same sound effect as the Millennium Falcon. Because again, this was ILM. This is Industrial Light and Magic, so it was all the same crew of people that worked on the Star Wars films.
Did you also catch the name of the club in the beginning?
Obi-Wan.
Yes. Yep. Club Obi-Wan. Yeah.
I'm also one of my other pet peeves about this movie, and I have several, which you may or may not have.
Obviously, you have a lot.
The use of green screen in this movie is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's
should
bad.
We start a new game that everybody drinks every time Roman has a problem with something? Everybody drink.
Really? Really? That's
Alcoholics Anonymous has issues with that.
All I have is
water. You could be drinking water. I didn't say what you had to drink.
That's true. That's true. That is true.
We're gonna say very hydrated.
Is so bad.
Yes. And another fun one. This actually, I feel like, digs into the end scene of The Last Crusade more than anything. But in Temple of Doom, the three main characters were all apparently named after dogs owned by people on the cast and crew. Short Round was named after screenwriter Willard Hayek's dog, which is named after the orphan in the Steel Helmet. Willie was named after Steven Spielberg's dog, and Indiana was named after George Lucas's dog. But all I can think of is that last scene in The Last Crusade, and they're literally riding off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jones is saying Indiana was the dog, and the other guy, I forget the character's name. It's like, you were named after a dog?
I had a lot of fond memories of that dog.
I didn't know that Willie was named after Spielberg's dog. How ironic is that he married her?
Yeah, that was a new fact for me.
I would have rather had him put the dog in the movie.
Also, the scene in Jaws with Brody and his son, mimicking each other.
There we go.
They reenact that with Short Round in Indiana.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that character. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is about it. It just, if you're going to have a kid in there, he better be action-packed and capable, which he was all the time.
Yeah. He
drove that car. He could defend himself. He had multiple heroic moments during the piece.
Jacob's like, he can kick full-grown men. Yes, because he's just like doing these little, he's like a 20-pound kid bouncing off some big Indian dude. And the Indian guy just goes, "Oh, I'm down." You got me.
And there were some gruesome kills in this movie too. I mean, goodness, that one guy who got crushed in the rock crusher. Good heavens, man, that was brutal.
Oh yeah.
And the whole mine car scene, the entire mine car scene, all stop motion animation. It did it better than, in my opinion, the Harry Potter sequence with all the mine shaft cars.
It did a better jump
way more
than the
CGI.
bus in what is that movie?
Speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a gap. For some reason, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's going to go into why all these mines exist underneath this palace when there's there are some holes in the plot, Mr. Lucas.
Originally, the mine car chase was slotted for Raiders, and it got cut and moved to this movie somehow. So they had to figure out how to fit it in there.
Thank God they didn't use it in Raiders.
Yeah.
I like Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders is a grounded piece.
It is. I have no complaints about Raiders, except for you can see the snake's reflection in one scene against the glass. That's pretty minor, though. And
that's fun.
And I don't think the little broad was going to outdrink the big fat guy in whatever country the hell that was. But again, it's not that big a deal. I could live with that. She didn't annoy me. She was fine.
I had a huge crush on Karen Allen back in the day, man. Good grief, that girl was so
drinking
cute.
Water.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That whole little sequence with the flipping mirror is absolutely
that's
priceless.
hilarious.
Oh!
Camera goes off the ship, and we still hear him screaming out in the middle of darkness.
Yes.
Fantastic.
That's actually where I get one of my favorite lines whenever Mrs. of the Empire says something about my age. It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
She goes, "Yeah, I know. I put most of them on you."
She might listen to this. I'm gonna get punished later. Back in the box. Get back in the box. I don't want it in the box, honey. Back in the box. Ah!
Oh, and then this is what happens to Roman.
Classic.
Nice knowing you, buddy. Or actually, maybe more accurate.
Really,
Great
really,
season.
pal?
You haven't talked about the one funny gag they did to Harrison Ford. I actually saw a clip of it. So there's a part where he's being whipped.
Oh,
what happened was
on my list.
for a joke. So he's tied there. He can't see behind him. Barbara Streisand comes out in a dominatrix outfit, and I saw this clip. And she starts whipping him, saying, "This is for Hanover Street, the worst movie I ever saw. This is for making all the money in Star Wars." And he's laughing. But I saw a clip of that once. That was hilarious.
They should have left that in the movie, Blair to Blair. They should have left it in the movie.
I do have that in my notes. I'd kind of glossed over it and missed it. But it actually, in the note that I have, it says that then Carrie Fisher actually throws herself in front of him to, like, quote, protect him.
Yeah.
And, Irvin Kershner, director Steven Spielberg, something. And he says, "Oh, is this how you run your movies?" And it says the entire sequence was filmed. But yeah, even Carrie Fisher was there for some reason, for some unknown reason.
But I saw. So I never saw that part, but I did see the clip where Barbara Streisand comes out in a full-on dominatrix outfit. It's like, whoa,
so bad.
And she starts whipping him, yelling at him, and he's laughing because he finally knows what's going on. But that is just priceless. If you ever find a clip of that, check it out. It is gold.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad.
I'm sure that Liam Neeson is familiar with that outfit as well, because they weren't they a couple for a little while, Barbara Streisand and Liam Neeson?
Ooh, I have no idea.
Couple for a brief period of time.
Don't remember that.
I'm not sure.
I know she's married to Brolin's dad right now.
Oh, really?
Josh Brolin's dad?
Yeah.
They've been married for quite a while.
Oh.
Yes, she is Josh Brolin's stepmother.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, I know Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford had a thing for a little while.
Yeah, they hooked up, I think, during the filming of Empire.
And there's a still from the set of Blade Runner. Carrie Fisher's on set. She's dressed up as an extra. And she's hot as AF. I mean, the way she's just posing, why she came there.
Right.
Oh my.
She was quite a bit younger than Harrison Ford, I believe. I think it was like Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill were pretty young, but Harrison Ford was already, I think, in his 30s, maybe even early 40s.
No, he was in his early 30s.
Yeah, he was in his 30s when they filmed the first movie, where Hamill and Fisher were pretty young.
I think they're. I'm gonna say it's a debate. I think it's about the same as you and I, probably.
Oh,
He's about 12.
Except we're not dating today.
But you're also 11 billion years old.
Awkward.
So also talking about earlier when the the sound of like the failing engine on the plane, it was the same sound as the Han Solo Millennium Falcon. In the scene where they're gonna sacrifice Willie, I know everyone was rooting for the fire. It says when the pit opens up, if you look back and pay attention, it's the same sound effect as Darth Vader's lightsaber firing up.
Why?
So they recycled a lot of the same sound effects. I think they're just Easter eggs. They're trying to be fun, trying to give you a little. Hey,
they share the same sound library,
Yeah. Which it's like you only have a limited resource to pull from, and they're kind of like, hey, let's just reuse it.
They clearly had limited resources based on their green screen effects.
Well, so Harrison Ford was 33 years old. Harrison Ford was 33 years old during the filming of Star Wars, and Carrie Fisher was 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Interestingly enough, Humphrey Bogart was in his early 40s when he met Lauren Bacall, who was 19 at the time they met.
Wow. Yeah. That's something.
That's why I called her baby.
Yeah. Oof. Good grief.
Now we have a whole new perspective. So this one also, The Temple of Doom, was the first film to use the THX Theater Alignment Program.
Oh, nice.
Groundbreaking new, which basically it ensured that cinemas would meet the stringent technical and presentation standards when showing the movie.
Forcing people to buy your stuff.
Hey, it's a good business model, right? Like,
well, yeah, I guess.
All of George's criticisms aside, the man was associated with so many theatrical milestones. We've got to give him some credit to surround sound, Pixar, THX, Go Motion, camera sit-ups. I mean, the man basically invented postmodern cinema.
Yeah.
And you know why? When he did, well, this is not Temple of Doom related, but Lucasfilm, when he filmed Star Wars, and when it came time to do all the special effects people back then were a bunch of goofballs.
We've talked about that.
Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to create my own special effects company in order to get this done.
Yeah.
And he did. And all that came out from that. He had to do Star Wars and had to do special effects and get it beaten into shape. And that became like a whole separate company. And, just like what you guys said, all the innovation came from that.
Yeah. When I first saw the makings of for Star Wars, I was blown away at there's an ironic thing about the models being static and the camera moving. That just blew my mind out of the water. I was like, wait a second. They created motion by the reverse where the camera's moving. My little boy brain was just blown up. I couldn't believe that that's how they did that.
They need to bring that back in movies. The
practicals
effects.
Yeah.
Practical effects. Yeah. 100%.
And the guy to do it is Christopher Nolan, because Christopher Nolan loves his physical props.
Yeah.
Yes.
That art form, it could go extinct if they don't bring it back,
Well, you're 100% right, Jacob. And I am a big fan of practical effects. And I know in this modern age, you can't make a movie like Lord of the Rings without CGI. You just really can't unless you're hiring, 10,000 extras and painting them green and throwing them out in the field. But they also use a ton of practical effects.
Yeah.
And there's a good balance of the two.
Yeah.
The things you can't do with practical effects, you overlap with CGI.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nested technologies too. Most of those landscape shots are a model in the foreground with a smaller model in the background with a CGI set in the far background. So there's layers and layers and layers of practical and CGI elements.
Yeah, and that's where again, I think one of you already mentioned it. Christopher Nolan really excels at that. In that, Christopher Nolan likes to build and create. You can hire radical left feminists to play the orcs. No need for special effects to make them look. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. You're not wrong.
She-Hulk, you did this to yourself.
But yeah, Christopher Nolan, I love still like buying the actual physical copy of Christopher Nolan movies and watching all the special features and behind the scenes on his movies, because he does exactly that. If he can at all build something or create something or really physically have something on the set, he will 1000% do that before putting it in front of a green screen or whatever. One of the best examples I always use is that like the opening sequence of The Dark Knight Rises, where they first introduce Bane, and they're on an airplane and they're gonna kill this guy and throw him off and kind of fake this guy's death and this and that and the other and whatever. The plane breaks in half, crashes into the mountain, whatever. All the elements in the scene are really real. In front of a green screen, they had a real like private airplane that split in half, burst into flames, whatever, did its thing. And then they went out and filmed, just like the B-roll of like the rolling green hills of the scenery. And the only CGI was just blending the two elements, but both elements were really filmed. When they did the Batcave for all of the Batman Begins, Dark Knight, all that, they got a soundstage that could have capacity to hold water, and they literally built every element that you saw of that Batcave. They built, so they had 360 degrees worth of filming capabilities. There was no, okay, the camera's here and the set is over there. If they were here and they wanted to film over here and then they changed their minds and wanted to flip around 180 degrees and film in the other direction, they had that capability because he would have his crew build that. Roman, I know you're really critical of this movie for a lot of reasons, but I still give it a lot of credit. Bram Stoker's Dracula came out in the early 90s. But the camera tricks, the filming, the special effects, it was all done without computers. And in the early 90s, it was in that realm of we were crossing that threshold of people were still kind of doing practical effects, but they were introducing computers, they're introducing digital effects, they're introducing CGI. Bram Stoker's Dracula was done with all like old school camera tricks. Like, I mean, like the candle with the handkerchief type of stuff. Yep. Like, it just, watching the special features on that movie is honestly probably more fascinating than watching the movie itself, because Gary Oldman delivers a fantastic performance, but Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder kind of killed it.
Dude.
And even I mean,
I'm sorry, I offended you.
Even Anthony Hopkins in that was not good. And it's Anthony Hopkins. I didn't like him in that either. I liked my computer. Why? I like Gary Oldman.
Yes, he was fantastic.
He's probably the only cast member I actually do like. I
you
don't
didn't
think
like Tom
I
Waits
like
eating the bugs.
That's going to be us soon, buddy. So don't focus on that scene too much.
Were the Carrie Elways in that too?
Yes, he is. I don't prefer him in that either. And I like him in Princess Bride. I think, what wasn't he in that?
He was in Saw.
It was one of the murder mysteries with Morgan Freeman. Along Came a Spider. Was that the one? Or Kiss the Girls? Am I shooting in the dark here with my murder mysteries?
I know he was in Saw. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I've never seen Saw. I haven't seen any of those.
Well, there you go.
Those movies.
Hold on, let's see. I'll look it up.
Steven's on it.
Steven's on it.
Yep. Thank you. I'm going to set myself on fire over here.
Yeah, Kiss the Girls.
Kiss the Girls.
Kiss the Girls, 97.
Okay. But the practical effects in that movie were awesome. They were really interesting because they were old school. They used a lot of interesting, or he used a lot of interesting kind of blending of styles in that. Of you're in the real world, and then you're obviously not in the real world, but you know it, and it's used as intentionally that way. It's not like an off-putting effect. You're supposed to be out of the scene at that point.
Mm.
Are we still talking about Dracula?
Yes. Yeah. Not Temple of Doom, where I felt like anytime Kate Capshaw was on the screen, I was taken out of the movie.
Yeah.
The first Jurassic Park movie too really holds up. The first Jurassic Park really holds up today.
But that's where you got a lot of your better CGI was because of that movie.
Yeah.
But they also, the practical effects for that movie were incredible.
Yeah, there were still a lot of
part of the reason. That's part of the reason the CGI looks so good. They actually built the thing and could scan it to where it is. And
there was another part of that too, that the animation for the dinosaurs was done in a traditional fashion. The inputs, they made an anatomically correct armature of a dinosaur. and then use that as an input device for the computer.
Yeah.
So
that one, Jurassic Park, is definitely like
they also built a suit of a velociraptor that an actor could get in.
Yeah.
To do like a puppety.
They could walk around in it, and it was crazy.
And
like the live
capture.
effects and the practical effects there, like that was a movie that definitely started to blend the two, where it was like things were starting to shift, but they still did both and did them both really well. If you watch, we had talked about this before a few streams ago, specifically just a whole stream about ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. But if you do have access to Disney Plus, check out on Disney Plus a docuseries called Light and Magic. It's like a 5 or 6 episode docuseries about Industrial Light and Magic, about George Lucas assembling that team to make Star Wars. All the movies that they went on to do when he was in between movies and writing, and he borrowed them out to Steven Spielberg for Indiana Jones, and then just the hundreds of films they've done since, practical effects, digital, everything. It was a really fascinating docuseries to see that exactly that. It's like George Lucas wanted to make this movie. He said, well, I want to make this movie. Well, how do I do it? And he assembled this team, and then the team grew, and then it was really fascinating to see how it started. And like Steven mentioned, it gave birth to Pixar. It gave birth to the software Photoshop, and all the different things that came from ILM was really just kind of the octopus thing. If you see all the different stuff that came from it, was really interesting.
Yeah, I think that there's an earmark in history that nonlinear editing was basically invented by the George Lucas guys, or at least practically executed by the ILM guys to make a lot of the editing choices for the prequels. They were able to take camera footage and shift it across the screen and create footage in the computer that was never filmed. And they would there was a way of editing that they were able to add frames and shift frames off screen to add other frames coming into screen as a way to seam these things together. And that was unheard of before this.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that the computer age has only given producers the opportunity to be able to re-edit things on the fly. That's the only thing, because practical effects are too expensive to play that kind of monkey business with. But CGI, you just run it again, and it may cost you a month, but at least you're not building anything.
Yeah, even Christian Bale, I still have not watched the latest offering of Thor: Love and Thunder, but as many of us probably know, like Christian Bale was cast as the main big baddie, the big villain in that one.
Gore the God.
If you know anything about Christian Bale, he's very much the method actor that he will gain and lose weight. And, what he did the movie The Machinist, where he was 120 pounds, and then he got up to over 200 pounds to play Batman, and just back and forth. The guy's going to give himself a heart attack, but he's dedicated to what he's doing. He said that doing all of that green screen and blue screen stuff for Thor was very monotonous and was very strange, considering the types of roles that he normally does. Because he's like, everything was, oh, you're over on this soundstage in front of this green screen. Oh, tomorrow you're over there in front of this blue screen. And he's like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what, he was so like, this is not my world.
No, I can accept that. I think actors will give you probably a better product if you have them in a practical environment.
Yes, exactly.
Just me, I'm not in the film industry, but when I'm a place, it's easy for me to believe I'm in the place, or at least if there's parts of the place there. And I understand if you have to augment other parts of it, but if I'm just not there, I don't know how I'm supposed to. I guess I don't have that much creative spirit in me to.
Well, when we were talking about ILM, Steven, were you the one that brought up that they're now using this technology where you're not even in front of a green screen, you're in front of a screen that projects what you're supposed to see?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And we're going to see that technology evolve. They currently only have it in the form of a round.
Yeah, the Mandalorian did that.
One of 2/3 or one of 3/3, I think, of the set.
Yeah. What did Jacob?
Kenobi.
Kenobi did it as well.
Yeah. And Mandalorian,
something about that.
Made it practical.
It's curved. That screen is curved.
Yeah.
And you know the scene where he can't go
the
around
laser guard
the gate.
Yeah, the laser gate.
Yeah,
you can't go around the
that's
gate.
Why. That's why he couldn't go around it, because that was the screen.
Yeah.
It's so
well.
It looks.
We're
so
going to
good.
see this technology evolve where they'll make sets that are blockier and are actually that they can put any building they want on this corner, and they'll eventually evolve this technology so that they'll be able to do much more dynamic things
as
than
long
they've
as you
ever
have
done
competent
before.
people to use it.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And people that are adventurous, to kind of expand the technology. But right now, we're in a bit of a holding pattern on adventures and courageous behavior.
We saw the meme with the original Star Wars trilogy. There's George Lucas in the room full of all the models and props and everything.
Oh, yes.
And then the next prequel trilogy, he's in a room by himself. It's all green screen. That's it. Just a big giant green screen room. And that was 100% accurate.
Well, and so I thought that was interesting too. Like, as I'm sitting here giving a plug for this docuseries, the Light and Magic, I thought it was a little ironic as I'm watching through this, because for me it was really fascinating, because on one hand it's kind of a history piece of, like, you're seeing the history of these beloved movies, but then you're seeing the behind the scenes, how they did it, how they just they're people sitting in a room going, okay, well, George wants this, how do we do it? And they're all like, I don't know, we're going to figure it out. And just the innovation that came with it. But the whole time I'm watching it, especially like the early episodes where it's all the practical effects on the original trilogy, I'm thinking, wow, there's a little bit of irony that we're giving some screen time to these guys and praising all of their work and their efforts. Whereas in the late 90s, they came out with the updated, whatever, remastered original trilogy, where it's like, thanks for all your hard work. We're going to cover it all up with digital stuff now, but good job. Thanks.
But then they have movies where they have the CGI, but they push people so fast that we wind up with bad CGI.
Yep.
They don't give them enough time to do it.
Well, that's what a lot of the Marvel VFX guys have been complaining about lately, is that they're overworked, underpaid, they're being rushed by deadlines and stuff. And it's like, by what deadlines? We've had COVID, we've had all this. We've been canceled again. Damn it, YouTube.
Well,
but all this stuff going on, it's like
unknown virus of secret origins. The code,
film industry. Man. The film industry over the last 3 years has been given so much grace, where they're like, oh, we got to push back the release date, whatever. It's like, you got plenty of time, but then still here, all these Marvel properties that they're doing, they're just pushing these people and pressuring these people, and they're saying they're underpaid and they're overworked and they're just like deadlines, and they're like, oh, it's good enough, it's good enough, it's good enough. Because if you watch the CGI in She-Hulk,
so much create,
if you
less,
look at
create better.
Well,
if anyone watched the season finale of She-Hulk and saw the CGI in that episode, you could tell that was done by a high schooler on probably like a really budget laptop.
I watched the first episode. That's it.
I saw clips of the season finale, and the CGI was terrible. The Todd transformation scene.
There was nothing about that season finale except for, like I said, and I know I'm an outcast. I thought the beginning was funny because it was that throwback to the Hulk series of 1978. And quite honestly, I hadn't even thought about that show in a very long time. And I was like, they're doing that. And then
it still blows my mind.
They took a giant shit on it afterwards. But before that,
you were there 3,000 years ago.
3,000 years ago.
That's right. 1,011 days.
It was her own fault for becoming She-Hulk. She wasn't watching the road. Female driver.
Good
spaceship.
And again, that became another one of my questions of, like, in that opening scene where she turns into She-Hulk, it's that she gets injured, just a couple of drops of Bruce's blood drips on her, and she instantly transforms. But in that season finale episode where Todd injects himself straight into his arm with her blood, it takes a minute.
It was different. That was a synthesized version of her blood. Don't ask me why that's important or any other.
It looked like Shrek. He just don't. He looked like Shrek with hair.
But I would still no. I actually would prefer Kate Capshaw's performance in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom over all of the season of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's perspective.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the meal scene in this film. Since I'm gonna pull it back to Indiana Jones again.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about Temple of Doom.
Temple of whom?
The Temple of whom?
The
proper grammar.
The meal scene
See,
was
the villains in this movie were really the grammar Nazis.
The meal scene was just so fun because everything was so, extraordinarily exotic and bad. Anytime there are bugs, serpents, eyes, brains involved in almost any part of your diet.
I want to find some bowls that look like the monkey head.
I think they make them.
Apparently the monkey brains were actually made of like a raspberry custard, so they were probably actually quite lovely.
And I think
that's pretty good.
Weren't the little
Gordon
snakes,
Ramsay's over there serving it up with and we have a
weren't the little
monkey
snakes
brains
that
now, fuck off.
were like, I think the little snakes were like, what is it, Twizzlers that.
But the guy's
that's the funny part. That's the part that creeped me out the most is when they cut the snake open and like,
yeah.
Yeah, and Jacob, that might actually be where we got gummy worms, was from that technology, from them making artificial snakes that could be eaten. So
and the eyeball stoop and the beetles. The beetles were really good.
That was
I love that whole meal. It was hilarious. Yes, it was probably offensive, but I still thought it was funny. Most of what is offensive is probably also funny. Blazing Saddles.
Oh boy.
But it's funny.
That's right.
But it just like Indy is just, it seems like immune to all of this. And then there's
he's a world traveler.
And Short Round. Short Round's just trying to get anything he can eat. And Willie's just waiting for it. She's wearing all her jewels. And she looks very beautiful as long as she doesn't talk. And she's getting served all the things and having to interact with the other people at the table. And it was a funny scene. Yeah. Far more so when she was in the village. You're insulting them and you're embarrassing me.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff about in the village. I guess apparently there's a scene where there's like some missionaries in the background, which is George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and their little director and writer cameos. And then also you don't really see him so much as you hear his voice, which is unmistakable. But the plane that they take, before the guys jump out and the plane crashes, the guy putting them on the plane is Dan Aykroyd. But yeah, again, it's like you don't see him, but you hear the voice and you're like, I know that voice. Like,
I hated that scene as well. I hated the setup for that scene.
Wild and crazy guy. There's no one driving the plane.
So
was he the guy that jumped out of the airplane?
I would have been the guy that jumped out of the airplane. So what was the guy's name? Who the Asian businessman who was kind of trying to screw them over.
I can't remember his name.
Because it was his airline that he got on. No, the actual airline. The character's name.
Yeah, because when you get in the plane and you're like, haha, see ya.
Lao Che.
It shuts the door and it says Lao Chain Airlines. It's like, oh, they're screwed.
See you later, Lao Choi. Close the door. Oh no!
You didn't see that before you didn't see that on the door before you opened it?
Yeah.
I hated it so much.
Interestingly enough, the guy in the bar that was helping Indiana Jones, his character's name was Wuhan.
Wuhan.
I'll just let that one sit on the whole food discussion.
He was also in Big Trouble in Little China. He was Kurt Russell's little sidekick in Big Trouble in Little China.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Which is a far better movie. If you're looking for something to watch,
yes.
I would pick that over this.
Yep.
So
currently showing on YouTube with ads.
I do like the part
for free.
Even though it's silly, when he drinks the drink that the bad guys give him, which is silly because they've been pointing guns at him.
Mm-hmm.
But the reaction, the guys, there's like, huh, it's the antidote for the poison, you idiot.
Yeah, and then he takes Willie hostage, sticks a fork in her side, and he's just and Loud Choice is laughing. I'll get another girl. I don't care. It's just like, all right. This is awkward for everyone.
Fantastic.
Hi, Mrs. of the Empire. She's come out into the studio. She's creeping outside of the camera realm right now. It's almost like a Bigfoot sighting, except you can't.
Is she going to start operating one of the Muppets?
But you can't see her. Now I'm going to look. Remember what I talked about the box thing earlier? That's what's going to happen now. So it's all right. I didn't compare you to Bigfoot. It was. I didn't mean it. God.
Nice knowing you.
Your time is at hand.
It's over, guys. It's been nice. So for all of you watching, when you say things about me on the interwebs, please say nice things.
Okay. I'll make nice memes of you.
If you're looking for new co-hosts.
So we have an opening on Monday night for a regular co-host.
Basic requirements are grumpy. Need to be older than 1,000 years, grumpy about everything, and
must be less grumpy than Roman.
A lot of things. Many things.
What did you guys think? So, they take the plane, the guys bail, they're going to die, they jump out into the raft. What did you guys think about that? Because as a kid, I was like,
that was just total silliness. And every reaction I've ever seen to it is like, that couldn't work. Their knees would shatter as soon as they hit the ground.
I know, like, boom.
So apparently Mythbusters actually did an episode about this. And they tried it several times with their dummies and determined that, no, you actually cannot drop out of a plane in an inflatable raft and survive.
Oh, shit.
No. Oh, reality is blown. I can't handle it now.
I have to try that. A Marvel report today. We have Moon Knight. Forget my eyes. We have someone new in the chat.
Oh, we got somebody over here from Twitch. All right. We got a question.
Ask away. What is your question?
Ask away. Yeah. What's your question?
And it's probably true. If it's horrible, it's probably true.
This could go either way.
Are we connected to Twitch? I didn't realize we were even doing that.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing is I'm not active on Twitch by any means at all, but I recently signed up for it. So we are currently streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter live.
Wow.
I don't know what a Twitch is.
You can't comment from Twitter in here, but Twitch and YouTube you can. So this will be our first Twitch comment. And I'm curious what this question is.
It's exciting. Yeah. We have something new. Okay. What do we got?
Roman, I'm going to yield to you on this one and pretty much the rest of.
No, I heard about this. Actually, I did hear about this. And I think it's horrible. There are a couple reasons, and you may or may not. You may be excited about this, but I am not. I don't prefer Sacha Cohen or Sacha Baron Cohen in nearly anything. He did one series where he played an Israeli agent where I thought he was brilliant, but otherwise I don't prefer him as an actor, and I'm sorry about that. Other people love him. I do not. 2, Ironheart is a derivative of the Iron Man franchise and not a good one. So the combination of the two.
Oh, we lost Blair.
He's a wizard. He just disappears. So yes,
and
I
actually,
did hear that today.
That's
as
the
well.
perfect. I'm going to stop you right there for just a minute. Since he already left, that's a perfect segue. Jacob's got to go too. So
oh no.
Yeah. I had
just real quick before you continue, Jacob, do you got anything coming up this week that you want to plug, or any kind of final thoughts you want to put out before you got to take off?
The 20th. The 20th. I will be having a live stream about Jaws, and John and Pops will be on there. So
nice.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Be fun. Yeah,
cool. Love me some Pops.
Yeah.
Not so much.
That's
John.
about it for
Pops
me.
Yeah. Well,
No, that's good, man. That's exciting. Jaws is Jaws is one of my probably easily my top 10 favorite films. It also ruined the ocean, pools, ponds, small bodies of water, large puddles for me. But it's such an extraordinary film. That's one of the ones that you can just talk about forever because there are so many elements of that movie. That's just such a fun topic. Have fun with that. That's gonna be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here, Jacob.
Yeah,
and thank you for all the
thanks for having me on.
Take care, Jacob.
You're welcome. All right. Just take care, guys.
In the chat.
All right. Yeah. Have a good
rest of the
night. I can see you.
All right. Thanks.
I was actually trying to say goodbye to him, and I cut myself off. So I said goodbye to everybody.
Nice.
So Roman, continue with your rant.
So I'm not happy about pretty much any element of that. One, also Marvel writers, MCU writers, I need to specify that very clearly, don't know who Mephisto is. They don't know. They've made a lot. No, I don't expect you to know, son, but I expect Marvel writers to know, and they don't.
They know what the worst part of all is. I never learned to read.
That wasn't even implied this time. There's a subtext here that means it's literally always implied. So I'm not excited about it, like I said, for a couple different reasons. Well, actually, I guess it's 3 reasons now. I didn't even think about the overall. Marvel doesn't know how to write for its more peripheral characters. And Mephisto is definitely a more peripheral character. So Marvel people know Marvel comic people know who he is. Normies have no idea. And that's fine. That's good. That's whatever. And my partner, the normie.
So we're to expect the King of Evil to be comedic, I guess. Is it going to be all tongue in cheek?
He's not generally known for his dramatic roles. Like I said, he's done one, and he did it very well. It was actually a very good. It was a mini series about an Israeli spy, and it was fantastic. But that's the only thing I've ever seen him in that I liked him. Actually, no, I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to lie. I liked him in Les Mis. I also am not a big musical fan, but I did like Les Mis because I like Hugh Jackman, and seeing Wolverine sing. I think I've told you about this before, where Mrs. of the Empire was watching the movie one night, and then Matt, the drummer, and I, after having had, let's say, a couple drinks out on the patio, came in while she was watching it, and I'm like, "Oh, it's Wolverine in a musical." Yeah. And then Matt and I proceeded to ruin the movie for her because Hugh Jackman is singing, look down, ah, ah! And it didn't work for her as a combination of film elements from the great Hugh Jackman. And I thought, man, this is great. And she's like, no.
But have you seen The Greatest Showman?
Please go outside. Please just die in the yard so I don't have to talk to you anymore. Okay.
Have you seen The Greatest Showman?
I have not.
When he sings and dances. It's really strange.
I don't prefer musicals generally. There are 2 musicals
it's hard to watch.
I like Jesus Christ Superstar, and I like Les Mis. And those are the 2.
Well, The Prestige is not a musical, but does star Hugh Jackman, and you should watch it.
Oh yeah.
Is he Wolverine in the movie?
No,
not quite. No. But he does do some magic tricks
with claws.
Yes.
Yeah, with Santa Claus. Yeah, there's a lot of red.
I'll watch your damn jacket. Movie. Is it shiny?
There's some fur, but it's all white fur. You know.
I don't want to watch it now. I don't want to watch it.
I'm teasing. Him and Christian Bale just knock it out of the park.
It was a great movie.
The 3 of them, and you got
Michael Caine.
Yep, Michael Caine's
in it.
Yep.
You should have led with Michael Caine.
Yep.
If you'd led with Michael Caine, this entire situation would have changed.
I'm sure it's been mentioned, but you're Alzheimer's, Roman. So you know.
I mean, I would play that graphic, but it says that I lose, which I did not lose.
It's you, and it's still correct though.
Speaking of devil,
and that's all I have to say about that.
It's almost as good.
What did you guys think about the head priest in Temple of Doom? The evil.
Kalima.
So cool.
I thought he was great.
guy.
I mean, it was just enough of the whole pomp and almost cliche. He was a cartoon-like villain, and he never backed off. He was just chewing up the scenery the whole time. Yeah. It was almost campy, but it wasn't because it was so terrifying.
The one part
exactly
I didn't like with him, and I actually thought he was good as a villain. That stupid trap door scene in front of the thing when Indy's about to get him, and the trap door drops. He's like, "Oh!" and he disappears. It's like,
yeah, it's pretty funny.
But again, like we said, there's a combination of like camp and adventure, and
that's where it comes from.
That was like super campy though, and it was like,
it's almost like a Broadway show thing, like.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Look, I've disappeared with a puff of smoke. So yeah,
absolutely brilliant. But that was a great set piece. The whole thing with the wheel and the cage going down to the fiery pit. All of those visuals were really, really good. The idea that they did that with lighting and a spiral of water, that's all that was, that whole volcano pit.
Well, that was actually another interesting trivia tidbit that I had, that one of the scenes where they had one of the other guys getting lowered down and getting lit on fire and stuff, they had like an animatronic that once the body initially lit on fire, it was going to be a dummy that really burst into flames, but was still going to like wiggle and writhe around and everything, to where after the fact, Steven Spielberg was like, ooh, like that's pretty gruesome. So he actually like covered it up with some other like special effects so that you couldn't see the animatronic writhing around in flames.
Oh, that's
kind of like, he's like, now that we filmed that, he's like, that looks pretty terrible.
That's incredibly fucked up. Who thought of this? George, are you out there, George? Was this your idea?
Yeah, sure, Steven, whatever. Yeah, just blame it on me, Steven. I've got the prequels coming up. I'll start blaming you for those, so no worries.
Yeah, that actor, that was the first time he shaved his head to go full on evil. And it was such a good look. He kept that for a long time. He was like a big villain actor for a number of years after.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
He had like quite the Bollywood career after that of like continuing to play a villain because he liked the shaved head look. Yeah,
it worked.
If it works, go with it.
Yeah,
that's right. Telly Savalas, I'm sure
we have our own wizard down in the corner.
Took time. It lovingly took time away from his schedule of saving hobbits to join us tonight.
Oh yeah, right. God.
So speaking of Harrison Ford, though, Roman, why don't you tell us about your thoughts on his recent casting in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Oh, God.
Yeah, really.
Welcome back to Mondays on Triggering Roman.
They're my biggest problem with this. You know what? Younger Harrison. So actually, I'm gonna have to backtrack a little bit. William Hurt, I actually loved in the role, and of course, William Hurt has departed the mortal coil, and that's too bad. He was very good in that role. He was a very distinctive actor, but sometimes these things happen, and you have to replace the actor. Got it. Harrison Ford, who I love as an actor, so I can't like say, oh, it's Harrison Ford. Although the problem is older Harrison Ford. Older Harrison Ford is not I didn't like him in Blade Runner because he didn't give a shit, because he didn't even want to be in the movie. Everybody knew that. I didn't like him in the last Indiana Jones movie because he was 900 years old in that as well.
But there's more coming.
God, I didn't like him in Star Wars playing Han Solo again as well. No, because I didn't think those movies should have been made, at least not in the way that they were made. So I guess me talking about that is me more criticizing the sequels than criticizing him. But as Thunderbolt Ross, he's too old for the part. I'm sorry, Harrison. Yes, I know you land airplanes in fields to rescue, Cub Scouts in the winter, but he's too old for this part. It's not going to work. I mean, they could.
What did you say though? You're sorry. You're what?
Yes, sorry. He's sorry.
Who's kicking in?
Sauron.
Now he's going to be CGI'd. He's going to be red and he's going to be a Hulk.
Yeah, they'll red Hulk.
Still,
no, he's not kidding. No, Blair's not kidding. That's probably what they're going to end up doing is doing they turn General Ross into a Hulk, and that's one of the Red Hulk. There are 2 Red Hulk characters. There's I think an Asian Red Hulk character.
So we're gonna have a big
and then there was the General
Hulk
Ross Red Hulk character.
So we're gonna have a big Red Hulk that's gonna say, "Get off my plane."
pretty much.
Probably, yeah.
So find a way to get it hurt,
because he's old. He's this 90, yes. He is. He's almost 90 years old. I'm not even joking.
He's in his 80s, I think.
Yes, man is in his 80s. Let him rest. So
whatever, Marvel.
Bad casting choice. Bad casting choice.
Exactly.
There are other
I wanted
actors
to
of the same
sneak
age
that last one in there I want to sneak that last one in there to get you really triggered before the end of the show.
Now I'm turning into Red Hulk. I hope you're happy.
Memes are coming.
I would have been a more appropriate casting, by the way.
Well, I think we've covered this topic and more. We've gotten into She-Hulk, we've gotten into the MCU, we've gotten into Star Wars and ILM. But as we're winding down, at least I think I am, I got to start thinking about dinner for the night. So when we go ahead and wrap this up by doing our usual go around and talk about what we've got going on, as always, my grouchy co-host Roman. What do you have coming up, buddy?
I've still got some stuff going on this week that I'm going to have to attend to. So my normal kind of external stuff is going to be out. I don't have to do a She-Hulk review this week, and that makes me happier than any of you could ever realize. I'm free. She-Hulk gave me clothes, and I'm free. So I won't be doing a She-Hulk review
and
this
you're
week.
The problem.
There's not one. And I'm the problem. They told me that, and fine. I've got it. I will be doing an Andor review this week because that's still on. So that's going to be on Wednesday morning. Last week wasn't great. Not going to lie. I fell asleep at least 5 times. And then on Thursday, we will be back with solving the world's problems. This week, solving the problem this week is going to be the problem of the undead.
Ooh, nice.
So that's going to be
Evil Dead, Night of the Living Dead.
It should be a fun show. I'm trying to do a Halloween theme for October.
But are you going to be dressed like Ash?
That's actually a pretty good idea. I need to get a chainsaw.
You have a chainsaw hand and a boomstick.
The boomstick I got, but I think we get in trouble for that on
S-Smart.
On Mama Susan's YouTube.
Shop Smart. Shop S-Smart.
So that's Thursday and Saturday back on with PJ maybe and Let's Talk Geeky at noon Pacific Standards. But we'll see each other on Thursday for sure.
Yes. Awesome. Blair, what do you got coming up this week?
Nothing. I'm just going on vacation.
That's right. Yes.
That's really all that's going on this week. Just hanging out.
That would be nice to really.
I'm actually jealous. I wish that were my week.
Unplug and maybe get away from this stuff for a little while. So that Max is just doing the same thing, or he's like, I had to step back from the platform. He's like, I need a break.
It'll be a nice cutoff, not dealing with all of it. I'm just gonna go antiquing and shit, so whatever.
Right? Yeah. Just turn your phone off and just have a good time. That'll be awesome.
Find a Shankara stone while you're antiquing.
Oh yeah, I know.
All right, and then Steven, I know you're usually the busiest guy we have on here. What do you got coming up?
Wednesday. I'm sorry, I was just looking up Thad's channel, but I know Thad and I are doing something. I forget. Thad, put it in the chat if you could.
He's doing it tomorrow at it's going to be 3 Pacific Standard. He's doing his 50 his viewer celebration show.
A little bit. Oh, congratulations!
Right.
On that.
And PJ is doing a review of the classic King Kong, and that'll be noon Pacific, 8 p.m. in the UK's. That's on PJ Maybe's review normally on Wednesday, and then I'm going to be with Thad for grumpier older men that aren't so grumpy, but they're still kind of pissed off, I think is the name of the show. I forget now. So Roman, you're more than welcome to join us. You'd be perfectly suited for all of that.
Mm-hmm. Really? That's who I am now.
You bring it on yourself. You really do.
Well, the Romans are ferocious. Yes.
But that's why we keep you around. You make for the memes and the funny clips, which actually I haven't done one in a couple weeks. We got to do another ending live streams as hard clip.
Supernova of the Empire.
Oh, there's a lot. Like I said, I could make a 20-minute montage of Roman just failing to end a live stream and screaming profanities, and
I've gotten better.
we have learned, and all the while here, I'm thinking that while I'm making fun of you, I'm probably going to botch the ending of this stream here, but we'll hope that doesn't happen.
The giant shield penis pops up on the screen.
Oh no. No. Well, it's been nice talking to everybody. Co-host for Monday night is I'm currently accepting applications. If anyone is interested,
Fired again.
Fired again. I think you get fired at least 3 times every week. Once or twice during the week if you send some memes. I don't know.
That's right. And on Thursday we get to disown John several times during the course
and that's
of the
fine
show.
too.
So.
Everybody, I've chosen my lot in life, and
well, you do play the banjo, so
I do play the banjo. Yes. I might have to, one of my messing with Roman live stream, maybe I'll have to get that out. So when you do the countdown, you come back and I'll just be wearing a straw hat with a banjo. And
that's right.
You should use that as your play out. Dun, 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 dun.
I hear banjo, row faster.
Yeah. The banjo still creeps people out because of that movie with Burt Reynolds. It still creeps people out.
It does. All right. Well, this has been an awesome evening breaking down the lesser popular Indiana Jones movie. As always, Roman, Steven, Blair, it was awesome to have you on. Hopefully we'll
Thank you guys.
Have you on again sometime in the near future. Jacob, who I know had to take off early, but great panel tonight. Great talking with you guys, and have a good rest of your week as we're signing off.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time.
Peace out.
Be excellent to each other.